Hello, baseball fans. Welcome back to Yankees Talk, and I cannot wait today to talk about today's news, hot takes, and Yankees information for all of you to tell. Let's start off with the news. Today we got Michael Conforto. He's being looked at by three different clubs. There's obviously more, but there are three main clubs at the moment. We got the Astros, the Cubs, and the Marlins. Conforto last year, he didn't play last year, sadly. He was on a free agent. He had Tommy John surgery, and he was out the whole entire year. No team picked him up, and therefore he was in a tough spot. No team wanted him. The Mets dropped him. It was a bad spot. So he has a career batting average of 255. He has 132 home runs. He has 396 RBIs and an OPS of 824. Solid stats. Not the best, definitely not the worst at all. I think one of these three teams could definitely pick him up. The Astros definitely need a fielder. The Cubs, they could use more outfield, and adding that depth with Cody Bellinger there too could be great for them. And the Marlins, with the whole competition in the NL East, that's going to be really good pickup for them if they get him, because that'll make them not contenders for a wild card spot or the postseason like division by any means, but it'll be better for them at least. Next, we got Mets signed former Brewers catcher Omar Narvaez. Narvaez, he signed a 1-year, $8 million contract with the club, and he has a club option for 2024, and it would be for $7 million. It would only tick on one more year. Narvaez, not the greatest offense producer. He had a great year defensively. He was one of the best in the game when it came to framing and working with pitchers well. It's kind of like a Jose Trevino thing. Not as good, but he's up there. But he did not bat or produce well at all. He had a batting average of 206. He had 4 home runs, 23 RBIs, and an OPS of 597. Not the best. Great pickup though. And at the moment, he's joining a team, the Mets, who have star-studded catchers in James McCann, Thomas Nido, and the number one baseball prospect at the moment, Francisco Alvarez. McCann, though, here's the question. Should the Mets keep Narvaez or bench him? Should they keep McCann or bench him? Because McCann, he really underperformed for the Mets last year. He had a batting average of 195, 3 home runs. He had 18 RBIs and an OPS of 539. That's not really that good. You're looking for a guy who is more like Omar. Sure, he didn't produce as much, but it was definitely a little more than McCann. And McCann had a really down year last year. You could either trade him to get somebody else, or honestly, you could just bench him and have him for depth. And with the number one prospect in baseball, Francisco Alvarez, soon to come up, you're going to have him. And obviously, that's a huge plus. We saw what Adley Rutschman did this year. He's out of this world. Next, the Red Sox. The Red Sox top priority at the moment, according to some sources, is keeping Rafael Devers. Sure, that's obviously what I would imagine they would want to do. They already have somewhat of a rebuild I could see they're going for. They have a team that they want to build around Devers, and after losing Xander, they definitely don't want to lose Devers. They have a team so far that consists of Trevor Story and Devers that they can build around. Kike Hernandez in the outfield, pretty good, solid guy, but they're going to need to do more. Jeter Downs, they just designated him for assignment. That was a poor decision. One of the guys that was a key piece in the Mookie Betts trade out. This just doesn't make sense. And they're going to have to go all in for Devers if they want to keep him. It's going to take at least $300 million over 8 to 9 years. After seeing what many guys received this year, for example, Correa, with his $300 million 13-year deal with the Giants and other mega deals, Devers is going to want a lot because he's a phenomenal third baseman. And honestly, Manny Machado could opt out in 2023 wanting the same kind of thing from the Padres. We don't know. And I don't blame these guys because they're so good and so talented. It's going to take a lot to keep them. Next, let's move on to the hot takes today. So let's start off with Pablo Lopez. Pablo Lopez, great pitcher for the Marlins. He almost got traded last year in a player swap deal with Gleyber Torres from the Yankees going to the Marlins for Pablo Lopez. That made a lot of sense. That the Yankees at the time needed starting pitching. Now they got their man Rodon, obviously, who we'll talk about later. But the deal didn't go through. But my hot take is that Pablo Lopez could get traded to the Orioles. The Orioles at the start of the season, they wanted starting pitching. They were in on Rodon. They were in on guys like Syndergaard. They wanted starting pitching because they are not ranked high at all for it, and their pitchers have been very down as of recent. Sure, they made a great comeback team last year, but if they want to have a run for the division in postseason, they're going to need to get starting pitching. It's only logical. All teams need it, but there are some teams, especially such as the Orioles, who do. So my hot take is that they are going to do a player swap involving a third baseman from the Orioles going for Pablo Lopez on the Marlins. It's going to be either Tyler Nevin or Ramon Urias, and he's going to be player swapped for Pablo Lopez. The O's will receive the pitching, and the Marlins will get the third baseman depth. And this kind of makes sense because the Marlins, they have a decent third baseman in LeBlanc, but it's not as much as they could get. They could use some depth. They could use a little bit better, and I think Nevin and Urias can provide either or. Now let's move on. Another hot take I'm going to have, the Twins could be a very hard contender for Swanson. The Twins lost Correa. That was huge. The Twins' main guy last year was Correa, and they were going for him. They had a pretty decent year compared to the year before. They choked the division, but at the same time, Correa was a main piece on their team, surrounded by Buxton, Arias, who might be traded now, and more. And now they're just falling apart, but they want to get a good shortstop. And with a guy who's coming off a really good team from the Braves, sure, it might not seem to make sense that he's going to a team who could have a shaky year this year, as well as not being geographically correct for his wife, Prue, who is in Chicago. Hence why it's a hot take, because I could see the Twins going all in for him. I could see them really gunning for him and giving them all they got, like they almost did for Correa. But in the end, I don't think it's going to work out, but it could. Now let's move on to the Yankees information from today. Yesterday, posted a video. For all of you who are subscribed, if you aren't, please like and subscribe. But let's move on to the Yankees. Rodon, let's start off with him. Signs a 6-year, $162 million contract with the Yankees. Thank you. Thank you, Yankees. We now have quite possibly one of the best rotations, if not the best, unless Frankie Montas really goes down the pipe. It could be one of the best rotations, if not the best in baseball. Consisting of Cole, Rodon, Severino, Montas, Nasty Nestor. Who knows what rotation we could put them in? That's the big question. We have Domingo Germán and Clark Schmidt for depth, if need be. But at the same time, the whole entire question right now is what order are we going to put them in? In my rotation, we should have Cole and Rodon as a 1-2 punch. And Nestor, don't get me wrong, he's definitely number 3 guy. But I think we should put him at number 4. It's not typical to have a lefty-lefty in the rotation. You usually try and go either righty-righty or righty-lefty. So in my opinion, you should put him at the number 4. He wouldn't be a true number 4, and as this number 3 is better than him. Don't get me wrong. I would put Severino at 3, not because he's better, but because he's a righty. But it just makes a little more sense. So I'd have Severino at 3, Nestor as a designated 4, but he's not a true 4, and Montas at 5. And having a Montas at 5 is that's amazing. And you have many big names right now and reporters talking about who's better as a 1-2 punch, Scherzer and Verlander or Rodon and Cole, and it is huge right now. And Donaldson and IKF, they need to go now, please. IKF did not have a best season last year, and he definitely could have been better. And Donaldson, should I even go on? He batted poorly. I mentioned this in my video yesterday. They need to go. They need to get traded. We need to get depth just anywhere, whether it's left field, whether it's depth in other positions in the field, or in the outfield, I should say, or even for a third baseman who's better. That would be great. I'll look more into this and share more details with you tomorrow on what I think. But that's it. And lastly, are the Yankees a better team than last year? As of right now, in my opinion, before the Rodon signing, no. All they did was re-sign Rizzo. They re-signed Judge to a mega deal. Sure, we got him for 9 years now, but at the same time, it's not a better team. And a lot of people are speculating that Judge is not going to have the same year he did last year. He put us on our backs and carried the Yankees. But just having that kind of a year back to back is just almost impossible. You never see that. So, in my opinion, no, they did not get better. But adding Rodon, now you can start comparing the Yankees to World Series favorites as perhaps now having one of the best rotations in baseball, having that depth, starting to pick out pieces to get better in the field, in the outfield, wherever. You could start comparing them to be one of the best teams in baseball. And in my opinion, we are a better team than last year, but there are still holes that need to be filled. Left field, re-sign Benintendi, please. They're far apart on negotiations, but just get the guy. You saw how crucial he was to us last year, and even when he went out injured. Or go out and trade for Reynolds. Reynolds is amazing. Switch hitter, can play anywhere, the corners, center field. He's great for an outfielder. So get one of those guys. Come on. But anyway, hey, thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe. Comment your thoughts, comment questions, anything. I'll be sure to respond. And I hope you all have a great day. Thank you.